How old do you think Grandma's turning on her birthday?
84. 71. 5, I think. She told me she's turning 5 on her birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom. I'm glad that Dylan's doing this with all of us. This will be fun to watch. Supposed to share early memories. I don't really have a lot of early memories of Mom, but I do remember growing up in Salt Lake and living in the Avenues house while we were building it. Probably my memory there is traveling to Blanding to see your parents, Grandma and Grandpa Johnson. I remember, for whatever reason, I remember real distinctly waking up in the mornings to chickens, I think the Guyman's chickens, and just thinking, Mom grew up in the smallest hillbilly town. And then we moved there a few years later, so that was kind of funny.
Our trip to Disneyland when I was 7, I think. And just how fun that was. I don't really remember anything real specific other than just it was fun. Except that they made us camp. I never was a big fan of that, but and I remember how fun it was to go see Aunt Carol too, and Dad wasn't very happy that she had a slot penny machine that we loved to play.
When we were out in Yellowstone that one year for our family reunion, when we had gone out to see, well, we had been driving and we saw a bison, and I think Jen wanted a picture of it, so she went out into the field to like get on. I think she was like climbing a tree or something, and it started running after us, and like Jen was still in the tree, but I remember Grandpa grabbing me and trying to run because you can't run, no offense.
When we were playing with Duck Diddle, Untitled Goose Game, she asked me which one of the geese am I.
I know I should be able to go earlier, and I couldn't, being in the kitchen with Mom back before the addition, and she had the little red portable TV, and she'd take it in there and watch soap operas while she made lunch.
When she used to take me and all the other grandkids on rides on the blue moped that she used to have.
I don't know what my earliest memory of Mom is.
The It's a Small World After All ride. Although I'm not sure if that counts. I mostly just remember the pictures on the walls and the music. And Mom told me that that's what it was from. I guess we rode that ride over and over when I was 3, and she was pregnant with Robbie, because that was one of the few rides we could go on. But the earliest vivid memory I have with Mom is probably of her having lunch ready for me and Kelly or whoever was over with me playing. We would be playing outside all morning, and we'd come in and she'd have fresh cherries, well, canned cherries, bottled cherries, and soup or sandwiches or whatever it was. And I remember thinking that her and Dad had fancy sandwiches because they would have BLTs or something like that. It was always just so cozy and fun at our house, and Mom always had great meals ready for us and not a care in the world as a kid, so that was pretty awesome.
I remember me and Chase were there, and I'm sure there were older kids there, but I remember we were hiking probably Arches, or I think it was Arches, and we were between 2 red walls in the sand, and it was really pretty and fun, and we were playing. And then 8 hours later, we were still hiking and in the sand, and we didn't have enough water, and we were hungry, and it was no longer fun. But I do appreciate the patience and taking us on so many adventures.
Listening to 90s country music and going to her office to just do who knows what, shred papers, play basketball, bug her, make her not get work done, hang out with Ike.
I love going hikes with you.
One of my happiest memories with Mom that I can think of is when we were planning my wedding. It was just something I was super excited about, and she seemed to be too, and that was a good memory. Wedding dress shopping was super fun, and I really loved that she let me get the really expensive dress that I wanted, because that was my thing. And
one of my happiest memories with the grandma that happened kind of recently, I was down there in July, just kind of like I do every summer, and we had gone, I almost said paddleboarding, we had gone kayaking. And yeah, we went out there for like an hour or two, and it was just really fun.
My favorite was bedtime stories. I don't remember ever having like 6 of us piled on the couch for bedtime stories. Dylan and Chase obviously weren't a part of these memories. But I do remember if it was my turn to pick a story, always picking the longest book I could find because I loved that time. And now that I'm a mom, I feel really bad for doing that because I have very clear memories of Mom falling asleep while reading. Being able to be there for Dylan's birth was really cool. I remember it being a very happy family experience. Us girls were able to be in the room and be there for his birth, and then the boys came up to the birthing center shortly after that, and it was evening and we live in Blanding, so we were all starving, and the only thing we could find was truck stop pizza, and I think we bought the last pizza and anything else they had on hand, and ate it together at the birthing center. But that was a huge celebration moment that I remember. Love you, Mom.
One summer when we were down, she helped me make a quilt, and I think that's the first quilt that I ever made, but since then I've made a handful more, and I don't know, it's something that I really enjoy and that I know Grandma and Grandma Johnson was really good at too, so I was happy to learn from the best.
My favorite memory with Grandma is when she took me to help paint at a rental, and then we went out to Subway for lunch, and that was my first time eating there.
A favorite memory of Mom and Dad together was they would rotate kids and have a special day where they just took one of us out to lunch, and I loved that. I was always so excited when it was my turn. I don't know how many times we actually did it, but I remember going to patio with Mom and Dad or Mr. B's, getting curly fries and a shake and just loving it, feeling so special and thinking it was so fun to have them all to myself. So I appreciate that with 8 kids, I guess 6 most of our growing up, but 8 kids now, how they were able to make us all feel special and to give us all that quality time.
Hi Carol, happy birthday. Hope you're having a great day. Just wanted to say thanks for being such a great mother-in-law. It was so fun to have you and Larry come out to our house for a couple months at the start of this year when Liza was born. The kids had so much fun with you and are excited to see you again. And we're excited to see you again too. So hope your day's been great and love you.
I remember me and Chase, and luckily the older kids were gone, so we just got to go all the time with Mom and Dad. But we got to go camping and 4-wheeling all the time. And I just remember that being so fun. Me and Mom got the green 4-wheeler, Chase and Dad got the tan 4-wheeler. And we just cruised all over the mountain all the time. And I remember specifically, I felt like Mom wasn't a good enough of a driver. And I may have been 8 or 9 years old at the time. And anytime we'd get to a causeway or something a little sketchy, I felt like I needed to drive because I did not trust her driving. But I do really appreciate that we just got to go 4-wheeling all the time when we were kids and camping all the time. And it was so fun.
I think one of the funniest and also the first time I ever met Carol was when my dog decided to run away right as she had gotten home. So she saw me very stressed out, and our meeting was searching for my dog, which we had found like 15 to 30 minutes later. And it was very funny because I was like, "Hi! My dog isn't here, but also hi." So yeah, it was really funny, and it was a great bonding situation because, well, we jumped right into it.
Happy birthday. One of my favorite memories with you is always just going hunting or camping in general. That's probably my first memory too, is just seeing you out on the mountain and we're all just having a good time with your women hunt hat. I don't know what it actually says on it, but something about women hunting. I don't know. And just how hard of a worker you are, and you always were when you were working for the church. I just remember like going to your office or coming down to Blanding, and you weren't home because you were always working, trying to make the best life for you and Grandpa and Dylan and Chase. And I just really appreciate that, because you showed me that maybe someday I can work and be a mom and be camping and hunting and doing all the cool things that you do, and being able to sew and piano and all sorts of cool things. So, love you. Have a good birthday.
One that immediately stands out is when I ripped my ear, and she hung out in the hospital with me all day in Monticello, and then they said they were going to load me up in an ambulance and haul me over to Durango, and she basically laughed at them and said, just call the cops, tell them that I'm coming through and not to pull me over. I'll get him there. As far as just a fun memory, probably when we did our Hawaii trip and Grandma tried to be tour guide and had us crawling through bushes and trees and rocks with our backpacks on, and she had no clue where the trail was, even though it was 20 feet away.
Well, Robbie took mine. I was gonna say Hawaii too, just because I felt like that was a really good way to get to know the family better, and a lot of good memories were from that trip. And I got a lot of good stories and a lot of fun times from our Hawaii trip.
Going camping and playing card games with her. Going hikes.
Does Grandma get you lost?
No. You hold him so you don't get lost. I like spending time with her and talking with her. She's given me a lot of things. Like, she gave me this bracelet, the butterfly on the shirt, and my favorite fossil. It's a spider, and it looks a lot different than modern day spiders.
Some of my best memories include all of the time and preparation that she puts into preparing for Christmas, and how memorable that's always been, and the traditions that we've built. And we haven't done as good a job at carrying that on in our family, but part of that is because we've still piggybacked off of Mom's Christmas most all year.
Going to their house for Christmas and getting to hang out with Grandma and Grandpa and all of our cousins, and we got to play games as Christmas traditions, and we got to go open presents with Grandma and Grandpa and our cousins.
Some of my favorite memories of Carol are going on trips with her and Regan and Larry. We went to Alaska on an Alaskan cruise. We also went to Hawaii and went swimming with the dolphins and snorkeling there. It was a lot of fun. And we also went bike riding in France. And all of those, we had good adventures, we had a fun time, and we ate lots of food. It was great.
I really like that they're both willing to always help us no matter what. If we need help, they're always there, and they're there quickly, and I love that. And I love that they have taught all of their kids how to work hard and to provide for themselves. And I love that.
I loved baking with Mom, and I actually still like baking. She would always let us be part of it. Probably ruined a lot of her stuff, but if we wanted to help, she'd let us help, and she'd be patient with us, and I'm sure it was not easy, and I'm sure it wasn't clean, but she always let us help.
My favorite thing to do with Grandma over the years has been when she would take me on rides in the Razor, the Rhino, and she'd let me drive, even though frankly I wasn't very good at it, and wasn't very good at not being super bumpy with the gas pedal.
Just wanted to send a quick message to you, letting you know how much I love and appreciate you and all that you've done for Jamie and I and Coleman and Hallie in the 20 years now that I've been a part of the family. I'd never been deer hunting. I'd never shot anything other than maybe jackrabbits, but the one hunting trip that I was able to go on, or the first one where you shot that deer, and then we proceeded to having to drag it all the way up the mountain to get it on a four-wheeler, was a exciting trip for me to see that happen. But then the hard work and effort that was put in afterwards to be rewarding, and believe it or not, I did learn from it. I did love that, and I wish I could get down and do more hunting with you, because I thoroughly enjoyed that trip as well as the many others we've had since. So happy birthday, love you, bye.
Just how much time you took with us as kids. You'd always read books. We'd read every morning at breakfast. We'd read on trips. I wouldn't even dare guess how many books we read as kids. A lot of classics and then other fun books. And you'd read to us at night all the time. So those are all good memories. I do remember hours spent on the piano. I don't think I ever liked that, so it might not be a good memory, but it does show your dedication. And I'm appreciative of it now. I can still tinker around on the piano. Not very good, but I can tinker. Some of my happiest memories have actually been more recent. It's been fun as you've got older. Obviously, one of the things that we love and something we do as a family is hunt a lot. And it's been fun watching you as you got older kind of get into hunting and enjoy that. I think you enjoy the experiences more than hunting maybe, but you went with us up caribou hunting in Alaska, did a drop camp caribou hunt. That was kind of a crazy adventure to just think we went for it and did that without much experience or knowing what we were doing, and we had a great time. And then a couple of years later, you followed us up to Kodiak Island. Knowing what I know now about Kodiak Island, I'd have been a lot more nervous for that trip with big brown bears around and going in the winter. But you were hiking right up through the alders with us and hunting deer up in the alpine and on Kodiak Island. We've been to Alaska with you several times now, and Mexico, and I love that when we call you up for a trip or an adventure, you just instantly say, yep, let's go. I also just really appreciated how much you love having your family around. It's easy to see, even though I'm sure it's overwhelming to have all your kids come back and visit, you always are very good. Love having everyone there. You always prepare stuff. You always have make sure there's a lot of food and are excited to see everyone. And
happy birthday, Grandma. One of my favorite memories of you is this year in Alaska when you kept catching really small halibut and you just pretended they weren't that small, or you were just kind of, they were really small. It was funny.
Happy birthday, Grandma, I guess. Well, I guess some of my memories with you would be just our big adventures that we've always had. Like my biggest adventures, you've always been there. Like every time I go to Alaska, you're there too. Like when we visited the Storts up there, you were there with us. When we went a couple of years ago, you were there. Went to Mexico, you were there with us too. I guess just having you just on all those big trips, it's just fun.
One funny thing about Grandma is she's old, but she acts young.
She's a blonde at heart. she's I don't know, she's just always so funny. She always has something quirky to say.
Like Michaela said, she is a blonde. I will never forget when she tripped over Ella in the kitchen and split her elbow open. I think it was Javen was sleeping over her. I don't remember, but anyway, we were in there watching a movie or something anyway, laying on the old nasty green couches, and we just hear a thud, and Mom just, I think all that she said is she's, ow, and I go in there and turn the light on, and she holds her elbow up, and she goes, did I cut it? And I about passed out because I could see her elbow bone. And but she she's pretty clumsy, and it's kind of funny sometimes. It's getting scarier the older she gets, but it's always created for some good stories, and it's not a wonder that her boys have all ended up in the ER as many times as we have.
Sounds like me and Chase may have got a different experience than the older kids got, because most of them said, I can't think of anything quirky about Mom, but Chase had one pretty quick, and I can think of 1,000. But I always thought it was so funny when she'd say something and then get a little embarrassed. It was really cute. But one that really comes to mind is when we were on the family cruise, and Mom goes, man, these chefs are just amazing. And they just do it at all these different elevations, and it's just so impressive that they're so good. And it obviously didn't take too long, and somebody called her out, but I remember her getting really embarrassed, and that was really funny.
Her ability to fall asleep anywhere. She fell asleep, especially it seems like whenever she was sitting up on the stand playing the organ, or waiting to play the organ, I should say, she would fall asleep all the time and her head would bob. I always thought it was funny that didn't wake her up.
She's very able to fall asleep sitting up. I remember many drives watching her head bob in the front seat.
I don't think of Mom as being that quirky. I think she always just seems so solid to me. I'm curious to see what other siblings have to say, especially Dylan and Chase. I feel like they kind of got to know Mom on a different level, but for me, I think what's fun is to see her play with my kids and to see how just she can really roughhouse with them and make jokes and flip Landon over. He loves roughhousing with Mom, and it's so fun to see that, and it takes me back to my childhood, and I love just how playful and fun Mom is.
The only one I could come up with, I didn't come up with very many quirks, but the only one I came up with was your love of Days of Our Lives. I remember as a kid, you worked a lot with 6 kids running around. I know you had 8 kids, but there were only 6 when I grew up. So you were always going, always busy, but I do remember that you loved Days of Our Lives. And I even remember as a little kid thinking, that is the dumbest show, but Mom loves it.
Happy birthday. Sure love you. I'm gonna go with a kind of quirky memory, I guess. It was when Braden and I first started dating, and you were pregnant, and I thought it was quirky that you were having a baby. And I thought that was so old when I was that age. Now it's not that old because I'm well beyond what you were. So that was kind of my quirky memory in the beginning, but you were always so open and loving.
I admire that she's spontaneous and fun and willing to be adventurous as well. I think of our trip to France and riding bikes, and it's probably my favorite memory with Mom and Dad because they were getting up there in age. It wasn't going to be an easy trip. We really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into entirely, but it turned out to be just a blast for all of us. And even though Mom took some falls, she just kept on going every day and didn't complain, and all of us had a good time. So anyways, I think that trip totally encompassed who Mom is and what her personality is.
The first one is hard work, and the second one is how patient she was with all of us. I joined the family when Dylan and Chase were teeny, and the amount they would run around the house and throw stuff and everything else, and she just dealt with it. Carrie does that really well with our little boys too, so good job.
How you uphold yourself and how you always try to make everyone around you better. And I want to try to do that in my life because you always try to make me better, especially now that I live in Blanding. I love having your support in everything that I do. And I've noticed you do it my whole life with all your kids and all of us grandkids. And I want to try to do that for others around me to be more like you.
Her patience, her calm demeanor, and then her faith. I think that it's stood out to me a lot. We went camping about a month after I broke my back, and she kind of shared her testimony as we were sitting around the fire about just the calm feeling that she had after I had received a blessing with that, and after we got up to the University of Utah and the doctors were kind of trying to tell her how bad everything was, and she was saying that she just kind of had to look at him and say, there's nothing that I can do, like this is your job. And then she was saying that she was kind of wondering if she was supposed to be more nervous than she was, and just kind of had that peace and a surety that she got from the Spirit. And that has stuck with me, not just from that one experience, but unfortunately that was kind of a repeat experience throughout my life.
I'm impressed that she survived all 8 kids. I feel like that's a good lesson to learn from.
What a hard worker you are. You're always up doing something. You're always you don't sit down after you eat. You just clean up everything and you take care of it right away, and then you sit down and relax and enjoy. I find that to be a really good trait to have.
To not panic.
Her just focus on service. She was always doing something for the community. Well, now she still is. She's always playing the piano for someone. She's always doing service, cleaning up the highways or cleaning up the cemetery or taking things to people in the relief society, making someone a meal. Mom's just always serving someone, whether it's the community, someone in the church, or us kids especially. She's always babysitting for someone or dog sitting or delivering a truck, all sorts of things. So I can't believe how service oriented Mom is. She's just such a good example to me, and be very proud of myself if I could live up to the high standard that she set there. She's amazing.
I really love how calm, cool, and collected she stays when things are tense or emergencies happen. And maybe that's just because the older kids already had broken her in, but anytime there was a broken bone or, anything, any emergency, it didn't matter what happened, anything scary, anything, it was just, all right, well, what's the next step? Like, it was always like, okay, well, what's important? What do we need to do next? And I think that's very admirable. And I think it's important, just keeping calm and doing what's important.
She taught me a lot about cooking and baking and how to make chocolates and other fun goodies for Christmas. I appreciate that. She also has taught me more about being a mom and a good wife, and
how to row a canoe, I guess.
That they have taught all of their kids how to work hard and to provide for themselves.
Just everything. I don't think you can be around Mom and not be happy. She's a happy person. She's always down to talk. Every time I go, me and Michaela will go over there. We just barely got back from there. Every time we go over there, we think we're going to be there for 5 or 10 minutes, and next thing you know, we're just chatting away for an hour. And she's just a happy person, and so is Dad when he can hear you. They're fun to joke with. They're fun to talk to. They're supportive. They're nice. And they're always there for us.
She's always been a very hard worker, from doing anything and everything for family, all of the painting of rentals in our house and everything else, working the garden. One of the highlights of that I'll always remember is her tiling the addition while being 8 or 9 months pregnant with Dylan.
Was her ability not to worry about things. Maybe she did, but she just hid it well. But she always just seemed very calm and just dealt with things pretty calmly.
You always worked really hard. I just remember as a little kid, you were always going, you always had projects. I don't remember ever sitting down. Maybe every now and then for days in our lives, but not much. I do remember that you just always worked, always had something going on, and were always busy, which you had 6 kids plus other projects. I remember as a little kid you being Young Women's president and Relief Society president, so I'm sure there wasn't a lot of free time. Always kept the house clean, always cooked breakfast and dinner, so go, go, go.
Your hard work, dedication, but also your love of the gospel and your willingness to support each of us in all of our life choices, whether they may be the choices you make or not. The support is there, and you're an active part of your family's life.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Hope your day's been great, and love you.
Say, love you, Grandma.
No.
Grandma's turning 70.
2.
You're 2, and Grandma is 70.
Aya.
And Liza is 8 months.
So I love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thanks for being an amazing grandma. We all love you.
Love you. Have a good birthday.
I love you, Mom. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Carol.
Happy birthday,
Mom.
Love you.
Hope you had a great day. No, I hope you had a great day.
What is the biggest secret you ever kept from Grandma?
Not my fault.